Well, good afternoon. I'm so glad y'all could be here with me this afternoon. And I have some students in here as well. And we're going to start with the review for chapter number 2. And we'll start with the PowerPoint presentation. And this is chapter 2, the biological development in infancy and childhood. Now let me say something else for those of you who need to take social research methods. I will be teaching that course in summer 2. And start next week, I don't believe this week you can do it, but next week you can go online and download that course. And that course is going to be just like the rest of them. They're going to be online and face-to-face, whichever you prefer. And when we register you, you can call me and I can explain to you how we're going to do this one. You won't have to upload any information, but you will have to email me the information from the lecture. And of course I will provide you with all the key information that you need in order to get this information back to me from the assignments. So my email address, let me give it to you again if you have not completed all your assignments for this course. My email address, if you have questions, is rmcdonald@texascollege.edu. Again, rmcdonald@texascollege.edu. My phone number is area code 318-470-2608. Again, area code 318-470-2608. You may call or text me any questions that you have. Please identify who you are and what course this is, which is Hbse, Human Development 1. So it's the human behavior in the social environment, Hbse, okay? Human behavior in the social environment, Hbse, all right? Number 1, that's what we are. All right, we have 2 parts to this, so you're getting part 1 at this time. If you have not taken part 2, you will have to take that because that's a requirement in the major. If it's an elective, you can take it as an elective if you're in criminal justice or in sociology. All right, let us begin. Chapter number 2, biological development in infancy and childhood. And this is the PowerPoint presentation. So, the dynamics of human reproduction, the conception. Fertilization occurs when the egg and sperm combine. If you can see, that's the egg looking like the moon or whatever that is it look like. And the other little twiggling thing going into it is the sperm. And so by the time the human sperm reaches the egg, it will have swum a distance of 3,000 times its own length. So that's the length of it. So it has to go a long ways to get to the egg. Okay? So we diagnosed the pregnancy just then. So now we have the fetal development during pregnancy. And so as the fetal development develops into 3 stages, or they call them trimesters. You have the first trimester, which is the longest one, and we'll be talking about that in a minute. And you have the second trimester, and of course the third trimester. And when the third trimester, I usually tell students don't come to my class because I'm afraid they might drop those babies at any time. All right. So here's some prenatal influences. The prenatal influences would be nutrition, drugs and medication, alcohol, smoking, age, and other factors. Now, other factors we have not discussed, but we know what they are. So, prenatal assessment. So you assess prenatal care. There are obstacles in the macro environment, which is in society. There are obstacles to that, and we discussed that earlier. The problem pregnancies, you have the ectopic pregnancy, the toxemia pregnancy, the RH incompatibility, and the spontaneous abortion. And I'm going to, on the next slide, identify each one of these problem pregnancies. So the ectopic pregnancy is the circumstance when a fertilized egg becomes implanted and begins to develop somewhere other than the uterus, usually in the fallopian tube or in your hips. The toxemia is a pregnant woman's abnormal condition involving a form of blood poisoning that results in rapid weight gain, fluid retention, hypertension, and protein in the urine. Usually they want to put them on bed rest when that happens. And they don't want to move them around too much so they can monitor them. Then you have the RH incompatibility. That's the condition when a mother and fetus have opposite RH factors, which means positive versus negative factors, resulting in the mother's blood forming antibodies against the fetus, incompatible blood. And that may cause the child to what? Be aborted or to become deceased within the womb. Spontaneous abortion. The termination of a pregnancy due to natural causes before the fetus is capable of surviving on its own. So the birth process, the stages of labor, we discussed them. So this is the birth process we're going to look at. There are different birth positions. Now, the first one is the vertex presentation where you see the head coming out. That is called a normal birth process, where the head come out. Now notice the pelvis is closed, but I want you to know that pelvis opens up to let that big head out there. Okay, eventually. So they be looking at the centimeters and saying that you have this much time, and that's why the mother be breathing hard trying to get that baby out there. And they be telling you to push. You know, and you'll be thinking you're having a bowel movement, but you're actually having a delivery. Then you have the transverse presentation where the baby is all curled up and can't really come out. So most times the doctor has to use these forceps that they have, and they turn that baby around so the head will come out first. Now if you notice, the head is the biggest part of the body coming out. Once the head is out, the rest of the baby just drops, because the head is the hardest part to come out because it's the biggest part. And that's why they be measuring and looking and seeing what all they have to do. Then you have a breech presentation where the butt coming out first, and on the other side you have another breech presentation. And either one, the baby's all folded up in the first part, and the second part, he's not all folded up, but his butt is coming out first, and they have a difficulty doing it. They call that a breech. And sometimes they have to turn it around, and if they can't get it to turn around, then they may do a C-section on it and take the baby out the side. Okay? Now, there's a controversy with abortion, and there's impact of social and economic forces on that. So the impacts on the macro system, which I told you, the micro system is the community and society at large, and the policies. So they have impacts on the policies, on practice, and access to services. So here's some of the impacts. Restricted access. That's the people fighting in the community who don't want you to have no abortion, shutting down those clinics. Limited financial support. You don't have enough money to go and have a legal abortion, so you have what? Illegal abortion, but not even fighting legal abortions. And of course, the condition of the mother, the fetal condition as well. You know, we're talking about the mother and the baby fighting against the blood. It might be a blood disease, and the mother may be sickly and have to have an abortion because she can't have a delivery. And so there's violence against the clinics. I told you, they're already fighting the clinics and shutting them down, killing the doctors and everybody that worked there. You know, they've been talking about it in the news. So that is a problem with our society or the macro systems. And of course the stem cell research, where they take the aborted feces and use their cells to do a lot of medical research, and not only medical research, but also helping to eliminate some diseases. So, here's the incidence of abortion. And this is taken from facts that were gotten from the United States Census Bureau Statistical Abstract. And this is the 2008 data, but it's from 2007, but the data was put together in 2008. The census is done every, 10 years, but this was done in 2008 just for this particular section here. All right, so individuals less than 15 years, there was only one abortion, and those from females, now we're talking about females, because males can't handle baby. Females from 15 to 19 years old, there were 17 abortions. 20 to 24-year-olds, there were 33 abortions. 25 to 29 years old was 23 abortions. If you notice, the range is every 4 years. It was 23 abortions. So when they made 30 to 34 years old, they were 15 abortions. The 35 to 39 years old had 8, and 40 years old and over had 3. Those with no previous childbirth, they had 40 abortions. With one child, they had 28. With 2 children, they had 20 abortions. With 3 children, they had 8 abortions. With 4 more children, they had 4 abortions. Now, no previous abortions. There were none. Was 54. 1 had 27. With 1 abortion before it, they had 27. And with 2 or more abortions, they had 19. Now, if we go back up to the total abortions with the age range from 15 to 40 years old, you will find that the majority of the abortions came from people, or young ladies, from 20 years old to 24 years old. And I'm just going to speculate that they had them because they were looking at their careers and what might happen, and they may not have been married. I don't know, but that's what it looked like to me. All right. So the reasons for abortions and the methods of abortions, here, both of them the same. These are some reasons: vacuum aspiration and medical abortions. They had dilation and evacuation, intact dilation and evacuation, and of course, illegal abortions. So, we're going to look at some alternatives available to infertile couples. Infertile couples are those who can't have children, or they do the best they can. Sometimes the eggs don't fertilize, and other times the male sperm count is low. And so if he can't get it raised up, or the lady have a difficulty with delivering children or having children, they have different things to cause it. These are the alternatives. They can have adoption, or they can have surgery and take fertility drugs to make them fertile, or they can have artificial insemination. And you know, they've been having that too. That's been going on with these clinics where they were going to have what they call male donors. And one man, he had about 50-some children, I understand, and they found out who he was. They ain't supposed to know that though, but they found out anyway. But anyway, I don't know how they found out. People leak stuff, you know, you have to be careful what you do. The word say you do it in the dark, come out in the light. Hey. All right, so we also have assisted reproductive technology, such as vitro fertilization. And then we have the gamete intrafallopian transfer, and we have the zygote intrafallopian transfer, and then we have direct sperm interjection. You know what that is? That's when people get together and have sex. So, here's some technological procedures to assist in reproduction. The artificial stimulation, the AI, the process of injecting the woman with a sperm from her partner or what? A donor. They call that AIH, artificial insemination by the husband or the partner, or AID, artificial insemination by a donor. You know, they have these donor banks. Assisted reproductive technology, which is called ART, procedures to promote pregnancy that involve handling both the sperm and the egg. And then they have in vitro fertilization, IVF, a process in which eggs are removed from the woman's body, fertilized with a sperm in a laboratory dish, and then implanted in the woman's uterus. That same thing is donor. You don't know. I hope it's the husband's sperm or the loved one's sperm. You really don't know. The gamete intrafallopian transfer, which is called GIF, is a procedure in which collected eggs and sperm are placed directly into a fallopian tube where fertilization hopefully will take place. You call that a GIF. Then you have the zygote intrafallopian transfer, which is ZIF, a procedure in which white eggs and sperm are first combined in a laboratory dish to form a zygote, which is then transferred immediately into the fallopian tube. So one of them they take and they mix the sperm together and put it together in the tube, and the other one is they combine it in a dish and then put it into the fallopian tube. When they collect both of them and put it in the tube, the other one, they combine them together. They not just collect them, but they put them together. That's the zygote. And they, once they put them together in the dish, then they put them into the tube. The other one, they just collect one and collect the other and put one in the tube and put the other one in the tube, in the fallopian tube. So right, direct sperm injection. It's called intracycloplastic sperm injection, ICSD. Now, this is the process in which a physician using a microscopic pipette injects a single sperm into an egg, hopefully resulting in a zygote which is subsequently placed in the what? Uterus. And then we have the surrogate motherhood. And that's the procedure where an egg is fertilized using the GIF or the Z process and transformed to the fallopian tube of a surrogate mother. And who's a surrogate? A woman who will bear a child for another woman. I think that happened with, what that man have? Michael Jackson. But he didn't do the surrogate mother. He did the zygote fallopian transfer. Okay? And that is the end of the slideshow, and that is the end of this part of the prep for the preview. We're doing a preview. We're just going through something. So this is the other part. And we've already done some things, and then you're going to see some of this other stuff. So we have finger-like projections called fembrays that at the end of the fallopian tube that draw the egg into the tube. Isn't that something? And you have genetic material in the egg and sperm combined to form a single cell. And you know, we talked about that, they do that in the laboratory, the zygote. And so it's true that teen mothers count for over 10% of all U.S. births. We just looked at the chart. Symptoms of taxemia include high blood pressure, rapid weight gain, fluid retention, protein in the urine, and it can cause what? Death. That's why they put the mom on bed rest. The longest stage of labor is what? The first stage. Babies born with their heads emerging first is referred to as what? Vertex presentation. And that is good. The maximum APOS score possible is 10. Approximately 1 in every 10 babies born in the United States has a low birth rate. A low birth weight. I don't know how to pronounce that. Proximal distal development refers to the pregnancy, to the tendency to develop aspects of the body trunk first, and then later master manipulation of the body extremities. That's when babies are being developed inside the womb. A child is usually able to crawl well at by the age of 1 year. Now, if he doesn't do it at 1 year old, then you need to take him to the pediatrician and have him checked out, because there may be something going on there. At 18 months, children's vocabularies consist of more than 3 but less than 50 words. So don't be upset if your child is almost 2 years old and can't fully talk. Okay? This is normal. This is the normal process of development for children. By the age of 3, children can use the toilet by themselves, although they frequently ask someone to go with them, with incidents only occasionally happening at night. Now, if they keep going after 3, then there's something going on there. If they keep bedwetting after 3 years old, and they don't want to go to the toilet, there's something going on up in there, and that is not normal development, and you need to have your checked by your pediatrician, who may refer you to a psychologist or a psychiatrist, because something is causing this child not to be able to go to the restroom. Okay? Now, a 4-year-old or 4-year-olds are in the process of separating from their parents and begin to prefer the company of other children over adults. If they're 4 years old and they don't want to leave their parents, there is something going on with that child. And y'all need to have a pediatrician to check him out or her and talk to them to find out why that child is not leaving their parents. In social work, we have terms that we use for children that cling to their parents and don't want to leave their parents, or they don't want to be with other children. They prefer to be with adults. There's something about safety with them, and they feel inferior or insecure, and they need to work through that with them. At age 5 years old, the picture children draw, although simple, are finally recognizable. So when a child is before he's 5 and you can't recognize it, then do not be upset. But after 5 or at 5 years old and you can't understand what you draw something and ask him to draw, you can draw something simple like a stick man or a stick lady and see if they can follow you on it. If they can't, there's something wrong there. These are signs where you can actually see what's going on with the child. That's part of the development. So the dominance of the left or the right hand becomes well established. They start using that right hand at 5, that means they're probably going to be right-handed. If they use the left hand, that means they're left-handed. If they use both hands, that means they are ambidextrous. They use both sides of the brain. Okay? Now, 6 to 8-year-olds can begin to trust with an allowance, and they are able to go to school or to friends' homes alone go to bed alone, and get up by themselves during the night to go to the bathroom. Unless they're lazy. And we hope that's not the case. Okay? And if they do continue bedwetting, now, like I say, it's something going on, and you need to talk to them and talk to your pediatrician, and he might be able to give you some advice, probably tell you to go talk to a psychiatrist or a psychologist. He might even refer you to a social worker. In Harris versus McCrae, the Supreme Court confirmed that Congress and individual states could legally refuse to pay for abortions. And in the country of Poland, they prohibit abortions of any kind. So be careful when you go over there. It is true regarding embryonic stem cell research that individual states have the authority to pass laws to permit research using state funds. Approximately 88% of abortions are performed at or before 12 weeks gestation. That's before the second trimester, I believe it is. It is true that less than 20% of women having abortions have incomes below the federal poverty line. Less than 20% of them have it. Well, one reason is they can't afford it. And they don't want to have it illegal, because if you do it illegal, you don't know what crack you go into. So you have to be careful with that. The following is true about vacuum aspiration. The procedure is used up to 16 weeks after a missed period. Mrs. Stone formerly referred to RU 485. That when you say RU, that means the House of Representatives regulations. Triggers a deterioration of the uterine lining and was approved by the U.S. Federal Drug Administration to use as an abortion drug in 2000. So that is mifepristone. It's a drug that the United States Federal Drug Administration approved to use for abortion. Why? Because it triggers a deterioration of the uterine lining. The hypnotic pregnancy is a condition where a fertilized egg implants itself somewhere other than the uterus, usually in the fallopian tube or where? The pelvis. So that takes us to number 25. Pelvic inflammatory disease is an infection of the female reproductive tract that can cause inflammation and scar tissue that block the fallopian tubes. So you have to be careful. That's one reason why you can't have a child, is because you have enough scar tissue that block the tubes where they can't get, the baby can't go into you. All right, in the zygote and fallopian transfer procedure, eggs and sperms are first combined in a laboratory dish and then immediately transferred to the fallopian tube. And we have discussed this also in the PowerPoint presentation review. So this is your review. And this is good for us to know, and we will be going through this again. So this is that presentation on Chapter 2, Assignment, Lecture, the Biological Development and Infancy and Childhood. Again, we are reviewing. We will review beginning Monday on Chapter 3. Okay? Thank y'all so very much. God bless y'all the rest of the week, and I hope y'all have a good day.